Bonjour Idili.
Bonjour.
So I'm very pleased to see you because it's more than a year I didn't see you, and suddenly we have to do an interview to please our dear friends here present. They want to know things about you because it's the first time they meet you. So I'm going to have a conversation with you about your life, about art, about perfume.
Yeah.
But maybe if you could just first tell us who you are. I know you are known as Idili, but also as Lama Djampa.
I'm a simple perfumist. I devoted all my life to create perfumes. I try to put all the little knowledge I have into the art of creating beautiful things for the sense of smell, which is an art that unfortunately not many people know, and which is at the same time extraordinary and marvelous because it changed the perfection, the perception of your life, you know. So I've been devoting all my life to do this, to create perfumes and products to transform people, and also to mix the side of the business and the side with the spiritual side also. I try to mix them together. Is it possible to do it? So I try to give the example that it's possible to be in the business and material world, creating things, creating a company at the same time, to have a spiritual approach, a deep spiritual path. So that's what I've been doing.
And I know your products because I had the pleasure to use them. They're the best I've ever experienced in my body, in my nose, you know. And the name of your company is Alqvimia, and I think it's in my sense you are an alchemist. This is what I always felt. And so like this approach to the essence, the very essence of things from the point of view that we don't really see it, but we are influenced by the essence that goes through space, no? It does transform us. And this is something that interests me to know more about because, as you said, most people don't know so much about this. So maybe I ask you to talk a little bit about this. Like also your piano.
Yeah.
You have this essence piano. When you call it the piano, you have all these essence in front of you. Do you still do that, or you don't need anymore to have the piano?
You know, the absolute nature of mind is about the unity of consciousness. It's what we call the Dharmakaya. It's the space of infinite possibilities. So the universe is mental. The universe is a mental creation. So the thing with perfumes and essential oils is that it's matter that is not matter.
Yes, this is it.
It's matter that is a spirit. And when you understand that, you see it's a liquid. But this liquid is a soul. So, and the soul can transform your own soul. That's the magic of it. So if you understand this, you can transform people's soul, you can transform people's health, using the soul of the plants, the essential or the perfume of the plants. And that's what's make it magic, that's what's make it powerful. So you have to have the sensibility to go into that. You have the sensibility to feel that power, to relax into it, and just to offer it to the world. That's what I'm trying to do.
Do you think this book? I don't know if you know this book. It's very famous, the Perfume.
Yeah.
Does it relate? Of course, it's a story, but does it relate to what you're saying?
Yeah, in a way it does, because Grenouille, the perfumist, he was obsessed in. It says the title is the Perfume. It says this story of a murderer, but he was not interested in killing.
No, of course.
He was interested in getting in touch with the purity of the soul.
Yes.
So that's what his obsession. So
yes.
he could feel that young, pure woman had an extraordinary pure energy that had a smell.
The beauty.
So, the smell of beauty, the smell of purity. And this is connected to the flowers.
This is what I wanted to
it's connected to the flowers. So the flowers have this purity. That's why when a woman uses the flower, the pure essential of the flowers, she feels like an inner transformation. It's like a magical connection. It's a connection that is chemical, because there is a relationship between the chemicals, the phytoestrogens that the woman has, and the phytoestrogen that the plant and the flower has. But you can go deeper to that. It's connected to the pure essence. So that's why the Dakini energy is connected with the purity of the flower essence. It's the same. The Dakini energy is connected with the flowers, because the feminine energy is connected with the soul of the flowers, and that's why they have such an extraordinary power of transforming women. Mm-hmm. So if you know that, if you go into that dimension, you can really heal women deeply.
Yes.
Deeply, 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 not on the superficial, very deep, not just the sickness, but the soul. You can heal the soul using the flower of the plants.
And once I remember I was in your house and you just made the first, you started to do sensuality for women. It was already existing, and you did the first sensuality for men.
Yeah.
I remember I really liked it so much, and it was very strange, because for me the sensuality for man, it was a little bit strange, because it was like smelling men, but men don't have the same smell, and suddenly I had this feeling I was really smelling all men. So, and women, of course, was more obvious because I'm a woman, so it was a little bit more like something familiar. But when I got this male one, I was surprised.
This testicular smell. Exactly, it smelled like testicles. The good smell of testicles. That's what I tried to do when I created it, and actually after when they use it, the male feel the transformation of the male energy, of the male power, of their fertility is changed.
This is what, so fertility is abundance?
Fertility is abundance.
So the abundance practice, like the world is abundance and the richness of our own nature, the nature of our mind, the nature of life, is abundance because it is fertile? Yeah.
Fertility is a feminine concept of abundance, because the feminine energy is connected to abundance. From one cell, you create an extraordinary human being. From 2 cells.
With the little heart.
With
the second heart coming.
Small. Yes. So, and that's feminine, this immense capacity of generating life, of spontaneously. So that's the abundance of the feminine energy. Sometimes it's the neurotic, masculine, patriarchal mind that creates the scarcity, that creates the austerity. Mm-hmm. So that's why austerity is not a virtue, actually. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. Austerity is a shame. We should share prosperity. It's not about few people being very wealthy and the rest being poor. Mm-hmm. It's about sharing the wealth. Mm-hmm. This is the future of mankind. Mm-hmm. And that's what capitalism doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. They don't understand this sharing the wealth. It's the wealth just for me, which is completely, absolutely neurotic, and that brings only to suffering.
And if I come back to how we met, we met thanks to dance. Mm-hmm. Because my good friend and also student at the time, Elena, was dancing in the Dakini project. Mm-hmm. Actually, because of their name Dakini, it led me, at that time I was much younger, to create the Dakini work with dance. And so we met through dance somehow. Mm-hmm. And then we discovered we were both practicing a spiritual path. Mm-hmm. And now you teach with your students. Mm-hmm. You teach Saraswathi, who is the goddess. How could I say in English? The goddess, like, who represents the archetype of art. Mm-hmm. And also, it is my name. I am called Yang Chen. And I did also dance.
Yang Cheng is your name.
Yeah.
It could be another name.
I received that name, and so I wanted to talk about
It couldn't be another
Saraswati.
name.
Excuse me?
It couldn't be another name. Because you are Saraswati, you're a pure manifestation of beauty, creativity, art, you know. That's what Saraswati is, that's this energy.
And I did this dance with the lute.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in hearing you now. Please talk to us about Saraswati, because we talked about perfume, about alchemy, about the world, and spiritual practice. And now Saraswati, of course, she represents a deep truth, and I would like to hear you talk about her.
Well, Saraswati is considered the goddess of beauty, the goddess of art. And
like Venus? Or different?
Yeah, it's a bit different because it's also connected to wisdom. It's also connected to all the arts.
So Venus is not so much... I'm trying just to get...
Venus is more like the power of the Dakini, of the attraction, of magnetism. It has this. But Saraswati is not so much this magnetic attraction power. It's about the peace and the beauty and the balance of harmony of beauty and art and wisdom all together. It's like even more peaceful than this.
And transmission, maybe?
Or transmission, yeah. So, and she is the goddess of the expression. It's the archetype. When we talk about goddess, we talk about archetypes that are in every woman and in every man. So, it's not that outer goddesses that we are worshipping, that they are somewhere, you know. It's just energies, subtle energies, psychological, spiritual, subtle energies that are within us. And then in that sense, Saraswati expressed the beauty. So, I think Dostoevsky said that beauty will save the world. La belleza salvará el mundo. Beauty will save the world. And then Saraswati is that. Saraswati is the energy of beauty, the energy of wisdom, the energy that can change and transform the world. And actually she's one of the oldest archetyped goddesses, because you find this from 9,000 years ago. It goes beyond religion. You find in all Asia, you find Saraswati in all the traditions. It's not a Buddhist, it's not Hindu, it's not Shintoist, it's everywhere. They change the name. Sometimes it's called Saraswati, sometimes it's called Japanese, they have another name, in Chinese they have another name. But it's the same energy, and they have temples all over Asia. And it comes from the ancient matriarchal societies. It's before the patriarchy.
Like the Dravidian?
Yeah, from the Dravidians. Yeah, it comes from that. Yeah.
I don't know about Saraswati.
The river Saraswati, there were two rivers, the Indus River and the Saraswati River. So the first name, it was the name of a river.
Okay.
The goddess was a river, and this river was bringing water.
From the tree of life, maybe.
Water is life.
Yeah,
There's no life without water. So Saraswati first was the goddess of the river, and then she becomes the goddess of beauty, the goddess of the prosperity of the wisdom, the abundance and the purity of the wisdom.
And I don't know Saraswati in Sanskrit what it means, but I know in Tibetan it means Yang Chen. I know because I know Tibetan, some of. And Yang is the vocal. It's the sound, sound of vibration. And Chen is that she is able to be empowered of. She has the power of the vibration.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about beauty, about archetype, feminine archetype in man and woman, of course, and music. She has an instrument of music.
She is a musician and a dancer.
It's the vibration of the breath, of the chi, of the prana.
Course. Yeah, of course.
So the art is related to breath?
She's related to vibration because she is continuously playing an instrument, which is a chord instrument, which is related to vibration, which is related to chi, which is prana. I mean, she's connected to that, and she's just breathing the wisdom, the vibration of the wisdom, and spreading it all over the world.
And make it music of it.
And make music of it, yeah. And she moves in the sky, she flies in the sky. It means this consciousness is no limit. There's no matter, there's no limitation. The only limitation, the ego mind puts the limitation. But Saraswathi is no limitation. It means this wisdom, this purity of beauty and art is infinite. And it's overwhelming. This is when you do the practice of Saraswathi, if you do a retreat of Saraswathi, that's what you feel inside. It's not just an intellectual approach to it. You feel that vastness of this beauty. Because the universe, the Dharmakaya is infinitely beautiful. And that it connects with that. It connects with that immensity of the beauty. In the light and in the darkness. In the dance, in the music, in the breath, in the air. That's what it is.
And as we talk about limitations, what I have as an experience as an artist and also as a teacher is, of course, I do agree with you completely. On another hand, I've noticed that complete freedom is not easy. So that actually when we create, when we work with people, actually, and even when we work on stage, the limitations is what gives power to the limitless expression. So somehow, like if you're working with people, sometimes if you tell them you're just free, just do whatever you like, they do things. But sometimes if they tell them, like, you're going to dance on a small path, and you invent something inside of this small limitation of space, they become much more strong and creative. They start to do something that has more power than they were doing when you just let them be completely free. So what I mean by that is that the relative and the absolute, like you said, austerity is a shame, no? But isn't it also that sometimes we need to use the limitations to make ourselves understand what it is to free ourselves?
Well, it's important to recognize where you are, and if you are in your ego mind, the ego mind by itself is limitation. Because the ego mind is the one who creates the barriers, is the one who creates the duality. So, but once you go beyond the ego mind, then you find the freedom. But it's difficult to go beyond the... So the spiritual materialism is just to be stuck in this ego mind that doesn't let you be free. And especially for men, it's more difficult to express. I remember in one of your trainings that I've been your disciple. In one of your trainings, I remember you say express your feelings, and for me it was extraordinarily difficult for a man how to express it. Nobody tell me to express my feeling with my body, And so for the first time in my life, and this woman, it was so hard for me to do this. So, oh my God, I have a long way to go, And because this is the limitation, this is the limit. For men, it's even more difficult to relate with the body than woman.
Yes, I believe so.
It's much more difficult.
It's because
we are more in our head.
It's because we have.
We are in our brains. We are here. Our world is here. Our main energy is here. The tigli is here.
Because we have the sky here.
Yeah, feminine power is in the belly. Is in the belly, but we are in the head. So we are not in the body. You know that we are not.
Speak English?
I know.
No.
But he understands me.
Yes, he understands.
We are not in the body. We are not in the body. So for men, So I remember it was a tremendous effort for me. So then I said, oh, this is the limitation of my ego. It's my ego was creating me. Oh, so I cannot express who am I really freely.
Yes.
Because all society has never helped me to express the way I am.
Yes.
And I'm not free.
Especially men
because
nowadays.
I cannot express myself. So I learned this with you, I said, oh my God, I have a long way to go, And then I think it's important to accept these challenges. You have to threaten it, You have to go beyond that. You have to make an effort and jump into it,
Yeah, that's it. So that's how the limitations helps us to step out.
Yeah, you have to step out, step out from this narrow-minded. How can you understand the Dharmakaya in this little ego head-minded cocoon? It's impossible. So That's why I think the work with the body is important for men also. But for men it's it's the triple of difficulty. Because we are not plugged into that. We are disconnected from our bodies.
I'm just going to translate what you just said, because Raj is here. Il est en train de dire qu'il pense que le travail du corps est très important pour les hommes, parce que les hommes, c'est encore plus difficile à cause d'une déconnexion qui existe pour eux.
C'est vrai. Parce qu'on est dans la tête. On est totalement dans la tête, dans l'intellect. On est totalement dans l'intellect. On est déconnecté de notre corps. Et c'est pour ça qu'on n'est pas heureux.
So he's saying we're not happy because we're disconnected. We're in the head all the time.
We are the man. Women is different.
Well, women also sometimes.
Women also you have a masculine side of it, you know. And some women are more masculine than men, you know. That's another story. You can be a woman and be very masculine. It's not about a sex thing. It's energetic.
Yes,
it's
and also habit, no?
Yeah, a man can be very feminine, and a woman can be masculine. It's more like it's a cosmic energy, actually.
I think it's also how society makes us react, no?
Yeah, we are plugged into these limitations.
Look at dance, for example. Nowadays we think men don't dance. They're starting to dance a little bit more, but I remember when I was young in France, in Europe, men should not dance, and if they dance, they're gay, all these things, no? But actually it's a very strange idea, because if you really look at the history of mankind, I mean man and womankind in the whole world, the man always danced. Yeah. They danced in Greece, they danced in Japan, they danced in India, they danced everywhere. And women were not allowed to dance, actually. Very often we would take the dance from women, and man would be the one doing it. Like the kabuki was created by women and not by men.
In Japan.
And so how could we so quickly in the 20th century believe that men don't dance?
Well, I think it's the paranoia of patriarchy.
Yes.
The patriarchal mind is not only bad for women, it's bad for men.
Of course.
So we suffer, even I would say, we suffer a lot, not more than women, but we suffer a lot the patriarchal mind. Because the patriarchal mind is about enhancing the ego. So that's why the society we have now is an ego, neurotic, masculine, oriented mind. And that's why people are unhappy. So much unhappiness is because of that. And men, we are not more happy. A man who is very patriarchal is not a happy man. So he's disconnected from himself, disconnected from his heart, disconnected from his body, you know. So he doesn't know how to love feminine energy. He knows how to abuse it, to use it, to have desire for it, but how to worship it, or you're talking about, you know.
And could we say, like, I mean, it's just saying something, but could we say that somehow a way to help human being and to make it prosperous would be that art is carrying wisdom? Because Saraswathi is wisdom and she's art, and she's breath, vibration. Could we say that actually the art of wisdom is what could really help human being?
Well, I think art is a very vast subject, and then there is many ways of understanding art at many levels.
And wisdom.
So there is one part of the art which is neurotic art, which is the art created by the ego. So there's a lot of this. Sometimes I've been to New York to exhibitions, I say, oh my God, this guy has a lot of problems. You see the exhibition, you see what his pictures or his paintings, or so my God, he has so many problems, this man, who is expressing through art. So, because art also has a therapeutic effect, it's a therapy, because art is a blessing. Actually, art is a real blessing, because the real art comes from pure consciousness. It's a divine space, and this is what Saraswathi is. It's a divine cosmic space. So you enter into that dimension, and that dimension becomes pure and holy. And then you transmit this purity and this holiness through your art. It can be dance, it can be music, it can be perfume, it can be... The perfume can be synthetic. It can smell good, but it can be toxic. So I would say many of the perfumes are toxic. It may smell good, but it's toxic. It's toxic smell. So, and you can create a perfume that is really marvelous, that is really pure, that is really transforming your soul. It's the same as music, the same as dance. So there is this space, because Saraswathi is this awareness, this Dharmakaya space of creativity. And that's what the creativity is the infinity of space. And when you're able to connect into that infinity of space, there is a blessing. And it's not the intellect. Mm-hmm. It's something else. When you dance, that was your shine. When you dance, you shine this. It's not an intellectual trip. You go into another dimension and you connect with that blessing, that wisdom, that purity that is art. And this is beauty. So art is connected with beauty. I don't understand ugly art.
I understand what
ugly art is neurotic art. You see, it's like Renoir, he said, I don't want to paint ugly things. There's too many ugly things in this world. Let me paint beautiful things. That's what he said, Renoir. I love Renoir's painting. And Picasso didn't like Renoir, but I love Renoir, you know, because he was painting beautiful things, you know. And this is the purity of the vision. You need the vision, and the vision is pure. And then art is a manifestation of that purity. And then it comes through you. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. When I create a perfume, I'm not myself. I don't know who I am.
Il dit, quand je crée un parfum, je ne suis pas moi-même.
It's when you dance, it's not you.
Il dit, quand on danse, on n'est pas soi-même.
I saw you the last time you make a dance with the Naga dance, which is not her. It's another energy that transforms through you, that comes through you.
C'est une énergie qui passe à travers toi et qui
and you are blessed.
Et qui crée comme une bénédiction.
And you are blessed, you know, you are blessed by this. And this is real art. So this art has the capacity to transform life.
Et cet art a la capacité de transformer la vie.
To create beauty into art. To transform the ordinary perceptions of life and make life more beautiful.
It's the duende.
That's the duende. That's the duende. That's the duende. That's the magic of it. That's the duende. You've been all your life, what should I tell you? You've been all your life practicing this and teaching this to others, you know. I'm just a small perfumist. But when I create my perfumes, it's a bit like this, you know. It's not an intellectual knowledge, or it's this project, this art. Of course, you need the technique. If you want to be a good dancer, you need the technique. You want to go good pianist.
Whatever you do.
Whatever you do, you need the technique. You need to master the technique. But then you transcend the technique.
Of course. So, do you use your piano or not? I want to know.
Of course I use my piano.
So you still use the piano?
Of course I use the piano.
So it's not like you come at one point, you see suddenly this essence, and you get it like that.
I know. But the piano is just to check.
It's just to check?
It's just to check, because first I smell in my mind.
So you smell it in your... This is what I thought.
Yeah, I smell in my mind.
I was sure about it. So once upon a time
I don't make... it smells good, then I check. No, I just...
Before you
before
you used to...
Before.
Yes.
No, before. I smell it. You know, perfumery is connected to music.
Of course, yes.
It's like... un acorde, it's like an accord, you know, it's like you have to play different notes at the same time, and those notes, that's why in perfumery we talk about olfactory notes, smell notes, you know.
And what about silence? Is there something about like silence in the nose?
Silence is...
Because silence is
yeah,
music.
Of course, silence is not smelling, is no stimulation.
So that's what we do when we take some coffee.
When you smell some roasted coffee, it means it cuts the stimulation. It cuts the impact of the power of the smell. It cuts the impact. That's why the perfumists, the professionals, they always have a little bit of a little jar, a little with some grains of perfume, the smell, because it erases the influence of other smell, and you start new.
So it's a kind of silence.
It's a kind of silence, yeah. And then you create from the silence. Silence is the base of everything. Dhammakaya is silence. So from that space of silence, music also comes from silence.
Yes.
And the dance, the movement comes from no movement. No. And then it's what we, in perfumery is the same. It comes from the silence of no smell, the silence. And then you blossom, and then you create the purity of the smell.
Parce qu'il disait que maintenant, il n'a plus besoin d'essayer les essences. C'est-à-dire que dans son esprit, un parfum a surgi. Et le piano, maintenant, c'est pour essayer ce qui a surgi. Voilà. Donc c'est la même chose, en fait, que ce dont on parlait avec la danse.
I created a perfume. One of the last I created is called Wisdom.
Oh, good! I want!
Then I was meditating.
I need wisdom.
I was meditating. I'll bring some water toilet tomorrow.
Il a créé un parfum qui s'appelle la sagesse.
I was meditating on Manjushri, which is the Buddha of wisdom.
He's the husband of Saraswathi.
He's the consort husband of Saraswathi. So I was meditating for a few weeks in loneliness in the mountain, and suddenly at one point, I don't know, I had like an impulse, you know. And then the formula came to me. So I didn't do anything. So the formula came to me, you know. Then I was in the middle of the meditation. I said, I need a ball pen and a paper to write down the formula, you know. And then it is the perfume of my vision of Manjushri in smell. The wisdom translated into a smell.
And cutting through ignorance.
Yeah, with the smell, you know. And it's not something intellectual, it's not something that it's just a blessing. It's just because art is a blessing. And you need to have a pure state of mind to connect with art. So if you are a neurotic mind, you go into the neurotic art. Yes. That's how it goes, you know. But that's why the artist is a difficult path, because the path of the artist is a spiritual path.
Of course, I agree.
There is the spiritual materialism, and there's the art materialism.
Of course. Yes.
So if you want to go into real art, you have to transcend. That's what you've been teaching all your life. How to transcend this ego perception of the arts, to go into the real wisdom of what there is, which is behind the art, which is the purity. Art is about purity. That's
okay, thank you.
That's that.
Thank you, Idili. Thank you, girls, ladies.
Thank you.